All right, time to move on now for some local action. Let's join Chad and Paul Morris. Morning, boys.
Yeah, good morning, Neil. There's plenty of local action here as well because we've got 6 support categories running on the undercard at the ITM Auckland Super Sprint this weekend. Very good morning to Paul Morris, who's already been out there on the track. What are you racing this weekend, Paul?
I'm in the Sangyon Ute Series, which is pretty cool fun.
Something a bit different for you.
Yeah, they've got a star car. Mark Petch runs the series and actually drove for Mark. And we won the 96 New Zealand Trans Am Championship together. So he said, come on over and have a pedal. So I did.
No jumps out there for you, though?
No, all the boys have already been giving me a bit of stick about that all weekend so far. And the girls, there's a few girls driving the Utes as well.
All right, so we've got the BNT NZ touring cars on track right now. You may remember this category from last year. They've become something of a regular part on the undercard at Pukekohe, although for this newcomer, Conroy, it's not kicked off very nicely at all. It's Jamie Conroy, rookie in this championship, and that car didn't even make it to the lane.
No, didn't make it to the main. The officials there at the back are having a lovely day.
No great sense of urgency there in the lane.
No, you just love coming here to New Zealand, that people are so passionate about their motor racing.
So if they're not pushing that car, it would suggest it looked like it was on a bit of a weird angle on the right rear. Maybe an issue with the right rear on that car.
Yeah, might need a flatbed.
Here's a name we know all too well. He's been busy lately with a couple of big calls to make in the Virgin Australia Supercars because he's the sheriff in town when we go racing. But just to keep his skills sharp, he's on track right now. It's Jason Bargwanna, 2-time NZ V8 champion, trying to convert that over to the newly amalgamated series from last year. Although this is a Ford. He's been racing in Toyotas recently, won a championship in a Holden in NZ, but this is the first time that he's had a crack in this car.
Interesting to see, and it's good that Barks does keep his handy behind the wheel. Does give him relevance to when he's making those calls, for sure.
And that's something that we're going to see a fair bit of this weekend, because we will get lap traffic.
And speed difference between the two classes, so...
Yeah, so to explain that, fans of New Zealand racing will know that we used to have the Super Tourer series. We also had NZ V8s. Barks raced in NZ V8s. Yep. Simon Evans and a few other very well-known drivers raced in the Super Tourers. Obviously, it was never going to work out having 2 championships, so they brought them together. And the best cars out of NZ V8 in Class 1, along with our Super Tourer cars. Yeah. And then the older style cars go into Class 2.
The old NZ V8s, which is a 4-speed. The easiest way to pick it out is probably the 5-stud wheel and the smaller rim of the older NZ V8s and the old body style.
There's also 1 or 2 added improvements to a few of these cars, just like the rear wing we're looking at.
Well, that looks like it should be a time attack. That thing, what is going on there?
That's a mean bit of kit. Check it out.
That should have been at Sydney Motorsport Park a couple of weekends ago.
It's a bit of improved production of sports sedans or something about that.
It's a full hot rod. Car 42.
That is huge. It looks like a Top Fuel dragster wing plucked on that thing. Got the front splitter hanging off it as well. The guy in front of him is the reigning champion, who will no doubt be speaking a lot of this weekend, because very, very fast is Simon Evans from a very popular family. This is Brock Cooley in the Speedy Signs entries. Picked up the championship in the Class 2 older cars last year and has stepped up to Class 1 this year, Paul. So moving on up.
A little bit of oversteer on the exit, which he just handles with a bit of correction.
Tentative at the moment.
Yeah, just trying to get some tyre temp up. You can see the car's still struggling a little bit for grip on the entry and exit. And this is a great part of the circuit. We heard Scott McLaughlin talking about it before to Murph. One of the fastest corners you'll get in motor racing this side of the world here.
Oh, hook it in on that curb. Then more curbs at 2. Down a gear for 3. So they're only going to get the one practice session here this weekend, Paul, and then straight into qualifying, same as all our support categories here. But just so much racing on the undercard. When you consider at the Gold Coast event, out of all categories, we had 14 races in total across the weekend. Here this weekend across all categories, we've got 23 races in total. That's a big difference.
It's a big difference, but the way it's set up, so you've got the V8, the supercars in pit lane and all the support categories on the opposite side of the grid, and they roll out at a different exit point, and they can roll off the track basically in turn 3 and return back to the old area, which used to be part of the track a long time ago.
What it does mean is we're going to get a really frantic weekend, just action the whole way through. So stay glued to the
like
coverage.
Being at the Speedway, just action, action, action. So
rolling out the heat races.
Rolling them out, yeah.
So these guys will have qualifying later today, as will the rest of our categories. So we've got the NZ V8 Utes, very similar to what we have back home. We've got the SsangYongs, which you're racing in.
Yep.
Aussie racing cars, the field from Australia are here this weekend. Oh, that's a bit tight down there at the hairpin.
Saw him at the last minute.
A bit unseen, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And that was John Midgley, who races in the Central Muscle Cars, who are also here this weekend. Very popular NZ Central Muscle Car Series, which we saw at Bathurst, running with our...
This is Simon Evans in the Smeg car. He's about to go quickest.
And he's...
7-1.
Is he going to do it? Yes, he'll go up the inside at turn 1. He thought about it and thought, gee, I hope he knows I'm here.
So Shane Van Gisbergen raced this car back in the Super Tour days in the Enduros with Simon, and they were the class of the field. Yeah.
As you would expect, they were very quick.
Yeah.
He's got his dad here cheering him on, who is a former land speed record chaser. Famous family, the Evans.
Yeah, great New Zealand motorsport family.
His brother Mitch now racing for Jaguar in Formula E after a long career in GP2.
That'll be good to see. So gets a paying job after a long time trying to get to Formula One, and they're just going to make the decision.
That's tight as well. Anderson opens up the door just enough.
Yeah. Evans lets him know he was here. Just has a bit of a swipe at him the exit just to say, use your mirrors, boy.
But that's giving us a sign right now, isn't it, of how much traffic we can expect during a 14-lap race.
Yeah, so Evans got 1.2 seconds on the field. So that's over Barks. If you took that gap in the supercar session, we just seen that'd be first to last. So Evans, class of the field, one of New Zealand's top drivers.
Had a stint in the Dunlop Series a couple of years ago, running in that super black Dunlop Series entry. Always thought he had it in him maybe to break through to supercars. He's probably got the skill level.
Yeah, you need the skill level and the commitment. And
at least be a co-driver.
And you need funds to keep the thing rolling, so...
More importantly, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is Brad Lathrope.
He's had a few goes at that corner.
Good old-fashioned.
You see the old 4-speed.
Yeah.
Back to second.
Oh, there's that curve we saw Craig Lowndes bouncing over earlier today. Well, that's a... Check this out for two-wheel action. There's the Smeg.
Yeah, it does it nicely. Just gets the ramp on the first curb, which allows him to clear the second one. And that's the key to it. You want to get the car up high enough to clear that second stage of that curb.
Asked him this morning, when's the last time he had the number 1 on his car? He doesn't believe he's had it since karting. So it's going to be... It's a rare opportunity that you get to back up a championship.
Well, looking at the timing screen, no one's going to touch him.
Nick Ross has got close, but still 8/10 away. Alexander, who was in a bit of traffic earlier, also inside the 5. Bargwanna 4, Lance Hughes rounding out the top 5 at the moment. Bit of a mix of classes. But the top 6 guys, all now 7 with Sam Barry crossing. Oh, that was another Lowndes Van Gisbergen moment there. Cooley did a good job to miss him.
When you come out of that pitch, you've got to be on the gas and get up to speed quickly.
Did you see the moment between Lowndes and SVG? What'd you make of that?
Well, it's just a wet track, cold tyres. SVG's going the fastest as he can with his tyre quality, so it's just one of those deals.
Here's Cooley trying to get the car settled for this new section of racetrack that was added a couple of years ago. Looks a bit unsure at the moment.
He
does, the way I describe his driving.
If he's getting on the throttle in between those two corners, it means he can carry a bit more under brake, so brakes is where he's going to try and find time.
Oi, there's the power.
And this is where you want to carry a lot of speed. Just carry the speed into this corner. It's searching for the throttle. What are we looking at here?
Right, at the background, Alexander this time running a little bit wide.
Yeah, taking the high line, getting on the grass.
Gee, you wouldn't want to get too close to those walls out there on that grass. And this is the moment earlier. It's Nigel Carl in the 17. Beautifully presented ITM entry. One of 2 cars with ITM signage here this weekend. Love the flames. Yes, bring that back.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Normal unleaded fuel and you get a flame.
Breathing heavily down there at turn 1. Coolly going on with it here. See the room they try and give each other, but when you give too much room, you can actually disappear out of each other's mirrors like that. Good way to trip over someone. They're all trying to give each other as much real estate as possible in their only practice session.
So we've still got 10 minutes to run here. Interesting to see these guys keep driving around all that time.
So they're allowed to use old tyres. That new tyre rule obviously just applies to Australian cars that come over. It's a customs law.
Yeah, you don't want to bring dirty tyres with you and have to clean them.
Oops, because stuff like that in the background, you go slipping off the racetrack. That was a bit of a wild moment. We'll see plenty of that this weekend. Turn 11, the exit there, they've put a little bit more concrete to use, but if you give them a little bit of concrete, they'll take it, and then you can find yourself right on the edge of it in the slippery grass out there.
Yeah, it's a good point. Put the concrete there to stop the dirt kicking up, and the guys just keep going wider and wider and wider. So the only way you'll stop that is to put a wall there.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
That'll sort that out quick, smart. This is John Midgley running in Class 1. It's a beautiful Ford Falcon. Car looks great.
So how they adjust the parity between the bigger cubic capacity engines of the Super Tourers to the NZ Tourers. The Super Tourers are E-throttle, so they just wind the sensor back on the inlet manifold. So when you full throttle at the pedal, you're probably only 80% at the throttle body.
Oh, yeah, they've put these new electric throttle bodies on. That was the replay of Midgley sliding his way through up the inside of Rob Wallace, who's new to the series. Very American name, that. Robbie Wallace.
Robbie Wallace.
But yeah, they've worked a bit on that parity. We've got a red flag here. I did see a car stopped at pit exit earlier. I wonder if that might be why this red flag's come about. It's definitely one spot you don't want to stop. Right there.
You got it. It was the same.
Well, he's completed the full set. He stopped at pit entry. Now he's stopped at pit exit. It's not been a good start for Jamie Conroy's career in this car.
He's got a bit of TV time for his sponsors, Mobil 1 there. So
yeah, they'd be pretty happy about that at least. But it's one of the older bodied cars, Allied 24/7 fuel, as well as Mobil 1, I should say, sponsoring that car. Look inside race control, they really had no choice but to pull the trigger on the red flag, then gave him as much chance to get that car moving. Looks like Michael Massey in the hot seat there with his back to camera.
See what they'll do here. They probably can't drag it backwards, so there we go. A bit of a chat.
Awkward spot to get moved from. You can't
rolling,
really...
so head for the nearest break in the wall.
Probably a good time for a red flag because everyone had plenty of laps there.
Yeah, they were wearing their stuff out, pounding around. So
some of them already done 10 laps.
Reset,
just practice.
Reset. Which you want to do when you drive around this place. It's one of those tracks that you just want to keep driving on. It's exciting.
Mr. Van Gisbergen up there, watching on.
It's pretty similar to driving around somewhere like Lakeside where we used to race. It's fast, and if you make a mistake, you know you're going to hit the wall pretty hard, so it rewards bravery for sure.
Do you still get to race at Lakeside at all?
No, but I get up there every now and again and have a lap around the place, and it's a bit safer than it used to be in the old days as well. They've widened it and taken a few of the bumps out. Yeah, there's Shane's dad. He'll
be a very proud man this year. Pertec Endurance Cup. Runner-up at Sandown, Bathurst, picked up a win at the Gold Coast, leading the championship. Interesting story out the Gold Coast Bulletin today about a few drivers publicly saying, they wouldn't say exactly who those drivers were, but saying they would punt Shane Van Gisbergen off the track if they had the opportunity this weekend to give the championship to Jamie. Check that one out if you need a bit of reading material at work today.
I don't know who it was probably his initials were James Courtney. He's always, he was good for one of those, isn't he?
He said
Gold Coast driver.
He wouldn't waste his opportunity if it came up.
Yeah. What he
like
means by that, he's not deliberately going to do it, but if Shane put himself in a position where it could happen, they're not going to lift. They're not going to get out of the way. So they don't go looking for it, but sometimes opportunity just does present yourself to get even.
You've told me many times race car drivers have long memories.
They do.
And there's never been more at stake for Shane van Gisbergen. So if anyone was looking for anything like that, it'd be a pretty heavy time to try and pull that out. So plenty of time left in this practice session. We've got Cameron Van Den Dungen down there in the lane.
Yeah, keeping busy, guys. Liam McDonald actually had a sway bar come loose. Luckily, no more damage. They've just done a bit of work on it, and he'll be back out again shortly. Okay, that's great. 19-year-old Liam McDonald out of Invercargill. That's the hometown of the man who had the world's fastest Indian.
Yeah, and an awesome racetrack down there, Teretonga. That's fast and dangerous as well. They've got some cool racetracks over here in New Zealand.
They're fast, they're bumpy, they've got character.
Just old school.
Heaps of history.
Put them on the dash racetracks, it's pretty good.
That should be the slogan for the new New Zealand Professional Series, which the BNT touring cars are a part of. It's a 6-round championship. They do make it down to Invercargill for round 4. So Pukekohe, Taupo, Ruapuna, Teretonga, Manfield, and then the championship finale next year at Hampton Downs.
Well, Teretonga's fast, Manfield's fast and tricky through the infield. It's got bank corners.
Taupo's a famous track as well.
Yeah, like if you ever get a chance to come over here and have a look around, you can just spend a week just driving around looking at all the racetracks they have here, which we've lost a lot of our tracks in Australia. With grassroots, national level motorsport is alive and thriving in New Zealand.
And that doesn't even include Highlands, which is another new but famous track.
And they do it cheaper than we can. Like for my CAMS license that I have to have in Australia has cost me nearly $2,000. The same license you get in New Zealand's $400. So that's why the New Zealand drivers always retain their New Zealand status. They don't go to a CAMS license.
Here's a fun fact for you. Do you know Aaron Russell races under a New Zealand license?
It would, it's cheaper. So
that was tight.
They don't have the bureaucracy of CAMS over here. They just keep it simple and more racetracks, more cars racing on the track.
Simon Evans with a bit of traffic to peel his way through. You're just not going to get a clean lap in here this weekend. And in qualifying, that's going to be prevalent in the SMEG entry. Reigning champ, his to lose this year. I wonder if these new parity laws will bring it, bring him to the rest of the field anymore.
I don't think so, mate.
He's got a second on the field here.
Class the field, young bloke, top of his game. When he races this car with Shane, in the past they match each other time for time. And walked past his pits set up this morning, and that looks like a Formula One garage, so they still run a pretty slick outfit. Yeah.
It's an amazing looking team. Robbie Wallace has pulled it up. Now, where exactly is this? So he's gone straight through the old section. There it is.
Oh, yeah. So he's out of harm's way unless someone lobs through there fast, but I think he'll be good.
There's a heavy braking zone for the old hairpin before we put this new, we'll call it a chicane, but new insert into the circuit.
Yeah, it's livened things up, given it another passing opportunity.
Made it safer.
Made it safer because you used to arrive down that hairpin just hauling the mail, and if something went wrong, it's going to be big.
Well, the Carl entry's got a rattly bonnet here. You'll know about that when he's going 230 clicks down the back straight. He's just going to pull it over to the right-hand side and let some of the fast traffic through. A couple of TL cars, and then Alexander is in the newer model car. Tom Alexander, just 22 years of age. He's trying to sneak up the inside here of Lance Hughes. Also in a Class 1 entry. These two are both Super Tourers.
Yep, so run an LS7 engine, same common chassis.
Heaps of horsepower in the LS7. Some of these are
they used to be 650. I reckon they've dulled about 100 out of them, the guys reckon, but still massive amount of torque. all these chassis were built by Pace Engineering on the Gold Coast.
"18 races in this championship, 3 of which will be happening this weekend. 14-lap races, rolling starts for the first 2, and then a standing start for the third one, which mixes it up.
To a standing start.
They usually do reverse grid races and stuff like that, but I think the plan for this weekend is very much under discussion still, but they were going to try and just go progressive grids since qualifying through.
Probably a good idea. Keep the show rolling. The last thing a big crowd want to see is some red flags.
Yeah, so hopefully that limits the safety cars for these guys this weekend. Clean racing last year, absolutely.
Someone's just gone through the cut through.
I think Rob's still pulled up there, yep. He's still hanging out there. Oh.
So that...
Lance was wise to that. Yeah. He backed it right out.
Yeah, good move.
I think that was Chelsea Herbert, our only lady racer, just 17 years of age. And she's obviously busy trying to get a handle in a big V8 car right now.
Concentrating what she was doing, and just need to get used to checking your mirrors at those sort of points. And that'll come to her with time for sure. More seat time, the more you relax you get in the car, and those things just become muscle memory.
Onto this big long backstretch out of the G.J. Gardner Holmes corner. Turn 4 onto this very fast part of the circuit. It's Brad Lathrope.
Yep, you can see the railway line over the fence there in the background.
Legend has it, a few cars have ended up on that railway line over the years.
Back in the day, for sure.
Open wheelers. MWN Civil going around again with Bradley for season 2016-17. He's got a little bit of a blue haze coming out of the left-hand side here. There it is. It's never a good thing. Now then. Big lock-up coming through turn 2 and 3 for Porter. Did a good job to get that pulled up. Sam Barry, former Ute champion, making the step up into this Tony Richards outfit. That's the car that Jason Bargwanna has been driving recently. So a couple years of the Utes where he finished inside the top 3 places, taking out the championship in 2015. Did race at the tail end of last year in one of the older TL cars, and then drove here in April in this car, filling in for Jason Bargwanna.
Cool.
So he's got a few miles on the board with him.
Must have done all right, he's still in the seat.
Yeah, exactly. Must have impressed them, because now it's his car for the season.
That's his quickest lap so far, rolls a 7.6.
Oh, now, was that a moment for Evans? He looked very, very skatey down there. I think he might have taken the shortcut there for a second.
And Nick Ross has actually gone quicker than him by 1/10 of a second from Evans. So Evans is out there digging, trying to get his position back.
All right, 7 minutes and counting, Cameron, in this session.
Yeah, driver out of the car, Liam McDonald, mate. We heard the sway bar came loose, couldn't get it fixed in time to take part in the rest of the session.
No, we're out there, did about 2 laps, and we heard a big bang, and we came in and seen that the threads are pulled out for the sway bar mount, so that's us all over for practice number 1.
Does that put you far behind for this weekend?
Yeah, we only did like 2 or so laps, so we've got a bit of learning to do, so we haven't got any data for the weekend so far, so we'll be hoping it goes good in qualifying, so yeah.
Thanks, Liam.
That's all right, cheers.
That's a shame, thanks, Cam. Automotive engineering student, so he's qualified to know where the problem's at.
He knew exactly what happened, didn't he? So he'll know how to fix it too, so most of these New Zealand guys are pretty hands-on sort of characters.
Debuted here as a 15-year-old back in 2013. He's brought Angus Fogg on as a bit of a mentor, former series champion and very well-known driver in this part of the world.
You can actually get your licence over here at a younger age, so...
Yes, you get a lot of young drivers in Formula 4 who are like 14 years old.
Yeah.
There's Evans jumping up over the grass. That's a wild moment.
He's trying. Ross has knocked him off.
I think we've got a driver in the 86s this weekend who hasn't quite turned 15 yet.
We've got a 13-year-old in the Sangyong Utes. So
just get your head around that. It's unbelievable.
I think it's great. It just teaches them what to do at a younger age, and that's why there's so many good New Zealand drivers come out of this part of the world, because they get to experience it. They get to drive in all these fantastic tracks.
Alexander going a bit slowly there, or was that Anderson? I think it might have been. No, it's Tom Alexander. A bit more traffic to worry about down there on the back straight. He's got Steve Taylor for company. Oh, this is wild. That's very wild. Oh, that was close.
That could have been real big.
Nearly nailed the back of him. We talk about mentors with Liam McDonald having Angus Fogg. Well, this man's had Kenny Smith in his corner for a while. Very well-known open wheel racer. We heard Cromley mention him earlier as a former NZGP winner here.
Yeah, Kenny Smith, amazing pedigree. Great New Zealand driver.
He's been quite instrumental in Tom Alexander's early career. 2014 Toyota 86 champion.
Obviously knows how to wheel a car. Something's floating around there. Loose splitter, tyre.
Something did not sound happy about that car at all. I think it's engine related. That's what I was thinking straight away.
I don't know.
Let's have a listen. That's engine.
I reckon it's wheel speed related.
You reckon?
I don't know. You want to have 50 bucks?
New Zealand or Australian? It's about 1 for 1 at the moment, so it wouldn't matter.
If it was engine, he would have shut it down.
Hopefully it's okay.
Yeah.
Just got to check the mirrors here and get over to the right-hand side as Evans goes out for another run.
Yeah, he'll get 2 laps here probably. Might have gone to a better set of tyres. He'll want to be #1. He's going to find just over 1/10 of a second to wrestle that top spot back off Ross. Bit of traffic. See if he tries and clears these guys quickly, which he'll do.
So a bit of a qualifying simulation run here for the Smeg car, although we're getting some raindrops. It's going to be that way today. They've been lucky to get a good 30 minutes of dry running in, to be honest.
Yeah, those fronts are coming in and coming quickly and disappear.
Something's flapping around in this car on the left front, looked like just then. Right behind the left front wheel. Strange. Something didn't look right about that at all then for Simon Evans. Bit of traffic to take care of before he can start a lap next time through.
He can be on it over the hill this time.
Rounds up Chelsea Herbert. Now he's got some clean race track.
And this part of the track sorts the men out from the boys. Not here.
It's committed. All the way to that little extra piece of tarmac right on the exit. He's got 2.5 minutes up his sleeve here. Look how bouncy it is down the front straight. Oh.
On the splitter through there.
Oh, someone's had a big lock up going into the corner. Hopefully it's okay. They've just pulled it up right in front of him. It was Fleming.
That's cost him a bit of time.
Simon
But he'll
Fleming.
get another lap out of this if he keeps his boot into it.
More raindrops, but it's still dry enough for slick tyres as he sends it down to turn 5. It's been knocked back down to second by Nick Ross, like the dude mentioned earlier. Wants that top spot back, wants the psychological advantage. How about this? A couple of our new cars, including Ross, who's in the newer model car, but it's Lance Hughes who's out in the dusty stuff. Away.
Once you get out there, she's all over.
That's a big
See if
moment.
he locks it down, catches it.
That's full lock right there.
Hangs onto it.
Good save.
Yeah.
Never in doubt, Paul.
Got some car control, that guy.
It's Lance Hughes. Oh, and then Sam Barry having his own moment. That's a big tank slapper. Just shortcutting it through. We're going to get a lot of grass on that entrance at turn 4 before the day's out. Oh, and Evans is wide this time on his second flyer. Couldn't improve on that last lap through, a 10th slower, as a matter of fact, than his best. So he's trying.
Right, he's got a good run off onto this straight. He was balked there the lap before by the slower car.
2 sets of tyres for the weekend. Very similar rules to Carrera Cup. We run on the Dunlop Sportsmax tyre, so Aussie fans of supercar racing will be very familiar with the tyre that we use in the BNT NZ touring cars.
Just praying for clear track.
Looks good so far, but we've still got this part of the racetrack to go. It's great. He's green lit the whole way. Not getting any sector times up on timing for
no, making it a bit hard to call, but I reckon he'll be right. I reckon he'll be right by about half a second. It's a guesstimate.
You're using the timing in your brain for this one. Let's see where he ends up in the wash. And it's another 105.9. He's turning these pretty consistently at the moment.
Well, this is good anyway. We've got... At least we're going to have a battle. Simon's not going to run away with this, looking at the time Ross has laid down.
Yeah, we like this. I mean, there's a second after them to the rest of the field, but...
There's two guys in the 5s, and then they fall back to the 7s, so...
It's a big disparity between second and third, but the two guys at the front are close. He's carrying some huge entry speed. It was fast, though. Needs to use the curb to get it turned at 6. Checkers are out, so he gets to finish his lap off.
That's smart. I reckon there's more to be gained on the entry there than being fast through the middle of that corner. Oh, he's backed down. Obviously,
he's found the traffic, that's why.
He's not going to get another lap.
Might as well bring her on in the box.
Yeah. Or he looked at the dash and...
Fast entrance here, isn't it, Paul? Not something that we probably won't have to worry about with our sprint races this weekend, but something to be mindful of at least.
With the weather.
Oh, true, good point. You never know. He might have to come in and throw on some wets. So it's Nick Ross just ahead of Simon Evans, and then it's daylight back to the rest. Bargwanna's first attempt in the new Ford, 1.6 seconds off the pace. And Fleming is quickest in our Class 2 cars. Chelsea Herbert, keep an eye for her this weekend. But look at that, 9.6 seconds, the difference between those cars through the field.
Different fast cars, so yeah. not the drivers.
But that means that we're going to be 6 laps away from getting traffic, 7 laps tops.
Traffic will play a part in the result of this race for sure.
So Bargwanna had some nice, clean track space earlier. The sun was shining at the beginning of the session. The first half was really dominated by young Kiwi star Simon Evans. Was he now 22 years old, still a young man, 25 to be exact. Bouncing up on the curbs with a lot of heat and a lot of purpose. Unfortunately for Jamie Conroy, didn't really get to cut a lap. Pulled that car up twice. Would bring out the only red flag of the session. Turn 1 was catching our eye on a few cars. The bonnet flapping around for Nigel Carl and big flames out the side. Tony Anderson getting a little bit crooked down there as well. Sparks lit up the lefts on the approach to the curbs down there.
Yeah, well, he's not in control of the car there.
1 or 2 guys needing to take that shortcut, including the reigning champ, Simon Evans. Closest moment, that one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that one could have been big.
Tom Alexander just missing the back of another car. Big slide, this one for Lance Hughes in the Hamilton Asphalt's entry.
Yeah, good job by Lance, gathered it up.
Nick Ross up ahead in the Nissan was the fastest man in car 007. He's been playing with the oil system in this car to get a bit more reliability, and the good news is it's fast as well. Thanks for your help there, Paul. This is the ITM Auckland Super Sprint. We're 90 minutes away from sending the supercars back out.